Here is the 2024 BMW 540i xDrive in black sapphire over perforated black interior. The refresh is here for the 5 Series. This is the sweet spot as well because you're getting 375 horsepower, which is better in everybody in its class and 120 horsepower more than the standard 530i. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and I'm going to go over some pros and cons. The problem that I have and the comparable rivals. Starting up front is going to get full LED headlights, daytime runnings, and cornering lights because we have the premium package and we have the iconic kidney glow grille that will illuminate the whole kidney grille. It's an active grille shutter. It brushes into the lower. The front fascia is going to be the same as the 530. It's just going to be what's housed underneath the hood that changes the whole ball game. Front and rear parking sensors with the 360-degree reverse camera is also part of that package. Housed underneath the long hood is a 3.0-liter BMW twin-power turbo inline 6-cylinder producing 375 horsepower and 398 pound-feet of torque, which is 103 pound-feet of torque more than the 530i xDrive, and dropping the 0 to 60 by 1.4 seconds at 4.4 seconds here, paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission. You're getting the same power output as an X7, achieving 26 mpgs for the city, 33 mpgs for the highway, 20-inch aero-style design wheels. It's a two-tone. The lower rocker gets the iX graphics. The door handles are flush, so it keeps more aerodynamics for the longer ride. The weight distribution at 54.3, 45.7. So when you're thinking it's a long vehicle, you also have rear axle steering, which makes it a little bit more closer to that 50-50 weight distribution. For me, I feel it kind of cheats, but all the vehicles are doing this. If you go into the bins, they do the same thing. The rear wheels will turn to a 4.5 degree as well. And when you're competing against Audi, if you go to the base trim A6 or even an A7, this is going to be faster. You tick it up to an S6 or S7, this is still going to be faster, even though that houses more horsepower. And going against the Benz, the same thing. Genesis, they're doing a refresh for 2025, which the interior is going to have a similar design to this. Over 3 inches longer than the prior gen. It's also faster. Curb weight at over 4,300 pounds. Standard LED tail lights, and the lower is going to have the boomerangs on the side that will emphasize the exhaust outlets because we don't have any here. With reverse parking sensors, a 360-degree reverse camera, and a 3D view, which will have the option for a car wash view, so it'll show the trajectory for the front, which you'll see in the interior, so you don't scratch these wheels. And even if you compete against Volvo, it's going to be less expensive. The same thing with the Genesis, but this is going to be faster than all those variants, and because it's longer, you have more interior space. This is going to have more cargo capacity. Unfortunately, the problem that I have with the 5 Series is even when you tick the box for the 540 opposed to the 530, it still has a boat feel, and the dynamics to it is not going to be as athletic as the prior gen. The steering has a little bit more of a fade to it because it's just more derived for luxury than performance, and yet you're getting a 0 to 60 in the low 4 seconds. Power liftgate going into 14 cubic feet. It does sit up a little bit, but the entrance is easy because of the flat load, with a storage nook, bag holders on both sides, and another storage nook underneath the floor. Gets a little bit of storage with a spare tire and a split fold the rear bench. You do so in the back by pulling the levers, and that will increase the cargo capacity to the 5 Series. Over 20-way power seat adjustment for the front, heated front seats, ventilated front seats because we have it packaged, manual cushion extensions, memory for the driver, headroom, and leg room. The 5 is basically a compact 7 Series brought into play with a driver-focused setup. The ambient lighting is going to wrap into the door panels, and it's going to be more found in the front of the cabin, a little bit less in the rear. Gloss black is going to surround the center part of the dash with the Sensitech on the top. Heads-up display is part of the premium package. We have the upgraded Bauer & Wilkins sound system. Curve panel with 2 screens, a 14.9 with Apple CarPlay, it's wireless, Android Auto, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming, Bluetooth audio, Wi-Fi hotspot, that's 5G, Amazon Alexa, and you can play video games on this whenever you're at a park. Put it into reverse, we got that 360-degree reverse camera, full trajectory for the front and the rear. And when you click the more, you have the 3D view, which you can use gesture. You can go all around it by touch, or you can use the iDrive and just roll around the whole vehicle. Click the more again, and you can do the car wash, which will show the trajectory for the front so you don't scratch any of your wheels, whether you upgrade them or not. And you can also clean the cameras for the front and the rear. Dual climate control settings is standard, and you now have a digital pad here to turn on and off these air vents, which are very seamless. It's just this little line right here that flows into the cabin, making it feel a lot more upscale. Leather wrap steering wheel, that's the new design. Multi-function, adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist with the paddle shifts. The gauge cluster has an array of information and content. My favorite is the AR. I use this all the time, and you can change the layout. So you can have it more aggressive with the boomerang, or you can make it a little bit more expanded, which I usually do it this way unless I'm changing the driving modes, in which when you go into the driving modes, you have a few different areas that you can toggle through. Click onto the sport, it's gonna bolster the seat, it's gonna look a little bit more aggressive, changing the ambient lighting to red instead of the blue. Go back, and now we're going to just put it back into personal, and you can see how seamless the design is. The same thing with the heads-up display. You can change the whole layout here with the auto-dimming rear view mirror, a moonroof, wireless charging pad, and the BMW digital key. Cup holders with USB ports. You get the ambient lighting that's going to wrap around it, and the key fob for the new 5. Gloss black elements with the touchpad here and the rocker to put it into gear, and it's going to be a little bit lifted up, which makes it more easy for armrests. It's going to be a little bit more sporty. It opens up to a 12-volt charger. The door panels and the dash can figure in together, and I like the ambient lighting that runs into it and the brushed aluminum for the speakers. When you go into the 530, unless you upgrade into the Bauer & Wilkins, it's going to be plastic. Door is going to be a little bit more sporty. One touch up and down for all the windows. And a medium-sized storage pocket with a beverage holder carved out, headroom and legroom. No storage behind any of the front seats. USB ports, you got a total of 4 back here with a connector for an iPad or an Android. Air vents, option for a third climate control, otherwise it's a storage. Cup holders with armrest. The door panel is going to be the same as the front, except you're not going to have as much ambient lighting back here. And this is plastic instead of aluminum. They strip it out. Still sporty and about the same size storage pocket. Sliding into the center is going to be a little bit of a lip for the center. As for the rails, they're pushed up. Knee space isn't too bad. Leg, butt, and shoulder space will be shared a little bit. You do sit up a little higher in the center, but headroom is still doable for somebody that's 6'3". And a cool fact, when you're going out of the vehicle, BMW loves to use these boomerangs. So look at this. It connects the boomerang to new 5 badging on the rear, 54.3, 45.7 weight distribution, and at 4.40 to 60, 375 horsepower. Not as airtight, like I was saying on the exterior, it's going to feel a bit boaty. You can still push it though, it's not that bad, it's just, it's going to feel like it's a little bit all over the place. And the 530 is actually better in weight distribution than this. And I've done a few reviews on that one and it's the same thing. Now we're going to stop right here so we can really see the engagement. Here we go. I mean, on a straight stretch, it's fun. The iconic sounds filter in. Have to be careful with these roundabouts. but it's just sliding everywhere. I can't stay planted, and the car is lifting from the front. It can catch up with anybody though. It's gonna take me to some pros and cons, starting with the cons. Because this is the more athletic of the vehicles. I mean, over 100 horsepower more, over 100 pound-feet of torque more. I wish this was more. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can still do it at pretty quick speeds. It's just not quite like an M Sport, especially with the dynamics and the handling. It feels boaty. It feels a little bit more towards the luxury side, which is okay because this is more or less a compact 7 Series, and we've gained over 3 inches of length. It's also a little bit wider. Another con is the infotainment screen. The typical buyer for this vehicle is a little bit older, but because of the styling elements, they have kept it relatively hip that it kind of attracts all ages. But I can definitely see some problems with learning how to use it. And the touchpad in the center is a little bit more on the hard side too. You have to really push the button in order for it to be engaged. The door panels in the back is the big con for me, in the sense of they strip out the actual aluminum inlays for the door speakers, in which we pay an upgraded price. Now the price isn't too over the top, it's under $1,000, which is pretty nice when you're considering you're getting Bauer & Wilkins upgraded sound system. But don't strip out the amenities from the back. I like the AR for the driver gauge cluster. I always use it personally. The adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist, it's okay, but it only goes for about 0.1 to 0.2 miles realistically without you being too engaged. Going against rivals like Mercedes, that's going to be the best in class when it comes to that actual system. Audi is okay with it, it's not too bad, but then the price for the Audi is going to be a lot more so, especially when you get into the S. Genesis is going to have some nice styling. It's just they have kind of configured the same in the interior, and a lot of the auto industry is doing it. I would say that Audi is kind of the only one that hasn't really made this one panel curved screen in all of their vehicles, which I kind of like that, but their system is a little bit dated as well, and you have to do some configuration in the infotainment screen, which you have to do the same here, except you have a shortcut button on the side for the extra 10-seat power adjustments for the front occupants. The big problem that I have with the 5, whether you go 530 or 540, it's not so much the power, but the aesthetics in the interior. They use a lot of plastic materials, and when I go 7, I understand it's around $20,000, $30,000 more, but you're getting Swarovski crystals. Now you do have to option it, it's not standard. I do like the ambient lighting, it is one of the best in class. And braking on the vehicle, you can stop on a dime, and this is a heavy vehicle. Another con, most of the surfaces in the interior are going to be more firm. When you get into the 7 Series, it's more plush. We don't get standard heated steering wheel, we don't get standard ventilated seats, we don't get standard soft closed doors. These are options in which I feel they should at least give you some of them. I get we're getting more horsepower and torque and a bigger engine, but when you go 5, you're also looking to get a little bit more of a luxury drive in the interior as well. You sit up high. Audi, you're gonna feel a little bit lower to the ground, and the same thing with the bins. So this is going to tick the box for more of a plush drive, even though it's hard materials. The seat cushion is soft, and you have a ton of power seat adjustments, more so than anybody in its class at this price point. To put it back in sport mode, it's going to contour to your body a little bit more so. Turn radius at a stop point with rear axle steering is about 2 lanes. Let's rock and roll. It'll get you to point A to point B pretty quick, and a speeding ticket even quicker. And when you're considering how long this vehicle is, it still packs the fun of BMW with a lot more technology and 5G capabilities. Whether you option the 530 or the 540, I think you'll be fine dynamically speaking, but you'll be more happy with the horsepower and torque when you tick the box for the 540. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, and Instagram Instagram, leave a comment and a like. And I'd like to thank BMW of Wesley Chapel for giving us this 2024 BMW 540i xDrive for our car review.